Okay, so for the last two report sets that I want to cover, I'm just going to cover them together since they're semi-related. So we have analysis and then developer tools. So the analysis is just the auditing summary, which we've actually already seen, and then entities with customizations. And the developer tools are the automation testing matrix and the exportation of the JavaScript that we see. So here's the output there. So let's look at the customizations, and we now have an analysis worksheet workbook. And what's in here is a custom field summary, customization analysis, unused web resources, and then images in use. So let's go through these. Most of these were actually created to figure out if I'm coming into a brand new organization that's already had Dynamics for a while, and I need to get a handle on what's been done that I can tell easily. This kind of helps with that, and a few other things we'll talk about in just a second. So here we have the account name, the publisher's prefix, a number of custom fields. So as you can see here, the account has two fields from Click Dimensions that are on it, one from me, and then kind of keeps going down the list here. So basically, this is the number of fields by publisher that have been added to this entity over on the left. Then this one, I have a list of if it's custom entity, the number of fields, does it have JavaScript, and are there any ribbon commands? So this kind of ties into the user interface report that we used earlier. So again, this is just a kind of a thing. So this helps me figure out if I'm working on something, say for instance moving to the unified interface, what do I need to concentrate on? So I've got JavaScript I need to look at, looks like I've got a ribbon command I need to verify still works, etc. Unused web resources. So this is exactly what it says. So here are web resources that are in the system that apparently, and this is a key word, apparently do not have any use or not being used anywhere. Now, the way that I determine that is to use an API call that will basically show the dependencies. But that doesn't mean it's not being used somewhere in the system. The show dependencies feature that you access through the user interface uses the exact same thing, but it doesn't tell you if it's being used in, say, a web resource, like some of these are. So basically, this is a starting point for you to find things that may or may not be used. Like for instance, all of these things here, it says we're not using them, we actually are. This is part of the CRM REST builder from Jason Latimer. All of these are used inside of a custom HTML page, web resource that uses all of these things to do work. From the system's point of view, they're not being referenced, but from what this inside the tool, they are. So again, this is just what Dynamics considers to be used, not that you can just go and rip these out, which are part of a managed solution, so you couldn't rip them out anyway. But that's just going saying. And then finally, the images in use. So this is part of the upgrade to the unified interface. So the unified interface requires a segmented graphics file or SVG file. So basically that's just a different file format, and it's when I say vector, it's just a series of commands about how to draw the actual image inside of the file, not the actual bitmap of it. So it's a bunch of just commands instead of a bunch of dots. That's really all it is. So what I have here is a number of usages, the type, name, display name, what solution it came out of, publisher, etc. So most of these are third parties that they've already fixed it or something like that. But realistically, what you have to need to work out for is what do I have in there that I've created that I'm using that has to be converted, because when you move to the unified interface, if you don't have the entity, for instance, set within a unified interface icon in the SVG format, it will show up as a puzzle piece. Okay, so this is kind of important. So this just helps you narrow down what you're going to be doing as far as moving to the unified interface. For developers, there's a couple of things here. So I came up with something I called an automated testing matrix a few years ago, and this is just a way for me to figure out where do I have things happening that I have to test. So there's two versions. There's the original Excel version that just kind of lists everything. So is it a plugin or is it JavaScript? If it's a plugin, what's the name of the plugin? What type of thing activates the plugin? In this case, it's the creation of an account. Is JavaScript, it's on the on change of the primary contact ID. And so this is just a list of all the things. It's not very easy to understand. So about a year ago, I tried to spend some time redoing it, and I came up with a version that's in Word. So here's one. So I've got this broken out into plugins and JavaScript. So if you look at the plugins on the account, you see that I have a plugin for create and a plugin on the update, and you can see that's for the account, and then that's the plugin. If I go to the JavaScript section, you'll see the name of the form, the attribute, and then the type of event. So it's either going to be on load or on change or on save in most cases. Here is the name of the function. So this is the function library. This is the actual function itself. And so what this allows you to do is figure out if I'm doing unit testing or UI testing, I need to do something to where I am exercising the change event on the do not postal mail, or on the name, or on the primary contact ID, etc. And this will allow me to figure out if it's actually working or not. So that's the whole purpose of this, is to figure out what do I need to test to exercise code either on the client or on the back end to actually do stuff. And that's pretty much it. Thanks.